Hey guys, Kamina the coach here. I it is what day is it? It is April 8th, 2023, and I didn't even realize that we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of my reunion with my biological mother. So, welcome back to my channel. If you have been here before, my name is Kamina the coach. If you've never been here before, I've worked and lived abroad for over a decade. So, this channel was originally to help people navigate working and living abroad. I'm currently in my ninth country in Iraq, Baghdad, Iraq. In March of 2020, when COVID came in, I moved back to the United States and started addressing early childhood and adoption trauma. So I rededicated the channel to sharing that because I wasn't working and living abroad. And I feel like we're an underserved community. So I shared all of the learning that I found on my channel. September of 2022, I was very lucky to get back out of the United States, and I have switched back and forth to share a little bit of this, a little bit of that as I move through my journey. So I'm going to talk about adoption stuff today and just kind of where I'm at in my journey. Oh man, I'm a late discovery adoptee. I didn't find out I was adopted till I was 32. I am a transracial adoptee, meaning I was adopted by white parents. And I'm 44 now, and it's been a long, arduous journey. Let's say that. My reunion journey started in 2021, and so I talked to my biological mother for the first time at Easter of 2021. And I did not realize that I was coming up on the anniversary, except for the fact that so I started listening to an adoptee podcast that I haven't listened to in a very, very long time. I got inundated with adoption stuff over the year of 2021. It's a lot. Um, a lot of it is very sad, and a lot of it is very exhausting to deal with. Because I did not know I was adopted at birth, it's not a huge part of my identity. It's not something I'm constantly thinking about, except for the fact that I didn't really realize how much society includes adoption in movies and makes us the villain a lot of time in movies, and how movies kind of glorify the adopters, the people who adopt. I didn't realize and glorifies the women who give up children for adoption and doesn't we're always the villains, we're always the bad kids, the kids that kill the family and such. So I never really paid attention to that until I started moving through my healing journey. But other than the times that life kind of brings that up for me, or if somebody around me says, oh, I'm going to adopt, but other than that, I don't really think about it a lot. Versus the people that I meet in my life, adoption, being an adoptee is a huge part of their identity because they've always known. So for me, it's not a huge part of my identity, and it's kind of something that I would really rather not think about all the time. It's exhausting. And while there are good stories, a lot of stories like mine aren't. When you hear about Black transracial adoptees being raised by white families, oftentimes it's just not a great story. It's just not. It's exhausting. And, if you haven't really done the work and you've got a bad backstory, it can be exhausting to hear about the good stories as well, and quite painful. So there's two very popular adoptee podcasts, Adoptees On with Haley Radke, who is a white domestic adoptee Canadian woman. Lovely show. And hers mostly, she has some individual shows on, but she has a lot of adoptee therapists on that actually like face the stuff that adoptees go through. And then another one is Damon Damon Davis, I think is his last name. So he is a Black American gentleman who was a domestic Black American who was adopted by a Black family. And great guy who does, his is Who Am I, really? So his is about reunion journeys. And like I said, can get really exhausting to hear about reunion journeys that are all hearts and butterflies, and it can and the converse is also true. It can get really exhausting to hear about all the trauma and horrible things that adoption has brought about. So I haven't listened to adoptee podcasts in a very long time, and one popped up on my phone today, oddly enough, and I started listening. And in the midst of listening, this woman mentioned that and she's biracial as well. I'm biracial, but I identify as Black. She mentioned that her mother mentioned, her bio mother mentioned to her cousin that she always thought about her daughter on her birthday. And that was when it came up for me. I was like, oh, we are coming up on 2 years. And so when I found my bio mom, and a lot of these people talk about the first time they talk with their bio mom, they talk for hours. The first time I talked with my biological mother, she was on the golf course. And you know, she's like, okay, well, I'm gonna call you later. I'm on the golf course. And she didn't really remember my birthday. Um, hmm. Another thing that is very interesting about my reunion, and I think the universe kind of orchestrated it this way, is that on my mother's side and my father's side, I don't really look like anyone at all. Definitely don't look like my mother. She's a short, squat woman. I'm 5'11". I don't know how tall she is, but she's not very tall. And heavy. Everyone is very heavy on both sides. I don't look like any of these people. Um, it's very interesting. Another woman said, and I've heard people say it a lot, that they heard their voice and they felt like they knew them, like they had heard their voice before, or they see their picture and they knew them. I definitely didn't feel that way when I saw my mother. The way I felt when I heard her voice is really more like kind of cringy, because she sounds like my adoptive mother, both white Texan women, and she sounds a lot like her, and she uses a lot of the same Southern isms that my white adopted mother did, and it was like kind of like fingers on a blackboard. It gave me a bit of the kind of, and you hear people talk about when they have reunion that they revert kind of back to a child, and it was a revert, and I did that, and it wasn't something that I enjoyed at all. It didn't feel good at all. It was reverting back to a time when I was completely at mercy to the hands of this woman who is completely emotionally inept. And it wasn't a good feeling. My memories came up on Facebook, and I asserted very clearly in one of my posts that I'm a Black woman. Regardless of being biracial genetically, I'm still a Black woman, and I present as Black, and the world sees me as Black. And my mother's sister commenting, well, you're half Italian too. And I'm like, a year after my reunion, I cut them off. 2 weeks after meeting my mother, she cut me off. And I cut them off. I cut her sister and her kids off a year after reunion because coming to terms with my Blackness and coming to terms with race, racism, and all these issues, I am unapologetically Black, and there's no space in my life for white people who aren't doing the work to decolonize their lives and working to be an advocate. and working to understand the ways that they are biased and prejudiced in the way that they live their everyday lives. And if you are not doing that as a white person, there's no place for you in my life. And I was very clear on this channel about that before I met them. And I could say that to the aunt and the cousins, but I was having a much harder time saying it to my mother. But again, because she made me kind of revert back to the child I didn't really want to be. And so I had a really hard time addressing it to her and her son. And they just ended up blocking me, which was fine with me. And very interestingly, both her and my cousin, her sister's child, have popped back up relatively recently. My mother is just not as aggressive as her sister. So my mother, in a much more covert way, had emailed me, and then her sister's child commented on one of my videos here. And, you know, it's not the adoption for me anymore. The universe has shown me that I am a child of the universe. So I don't feel alone or lonely. I don't feel like I need to have children or need to have a family or need to be part of anything, because I am everything. And I genuinely mean that. And so what the thing is for me is the race and the racism. And I tried to express it to my cousin, who would just absolutely not receive it, who ended up calling me racist. And my mother's message to me said that she was sure that I would never be, or she thought that I would never be able to forgive her. And for the adoption, I do. For the lack of racial awareness, I can't. I can forgive you if you will do the work. But otherwise, you have no place in my life. And that's for all white people. I've let a lot of white people in my life go that I've known for a really long time, who are not able to be advocates. And to me, silence equals consent. And that's the way that life has made me. And that is a product of that relinquishment. And, you know, everybody has to live with the consequences of her decision. It just is what it is. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. And I'm okay with all that. It's amazing. It is amazing to be where I am. So I'm going to sum all this up. I have a friend who is considering searching, and she's kind of on the fence. To anyone, to any adoptee, anywhere considering searching, I recommend wholeheartedly 100% to search. I've never heard anybody say that they regret searching. It's not easy. I recommend that you do some heavy lifting, self-realization work, and start doing it before you find them. It's not easy. It's not butterflies and roses for all of us, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. I'm so thankful for the woman that I am now. Post-reunion. Reunion almost killed me, and that's no lie. I had ringworms everywhere. I don't know why. I was so sick. I was a horrible person to be around too. In the heat of my reunion, when I first found everybody, it was horrible. And I didn't feel like I would ever come back to an emotional baseline. But after the fact, I read another late discovery adoptee talk about this vicious cycle, usually around holiday season and their birthday. And I'll be honest in saying that I had several life-threatening events that happen surrounding Christmas, my birthday, New Year's, all that stuff. It was a horrible time for me. And it's just not anymore. It's just not. I feel this incredible weight lifted off my shoulders. Searching was the best thing that's ever happened to me. Finding my story, finding my truth, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So if you're considering doing it, I recommend it. You're never alone. Sending you love, light, peace, and joy. Until next time, I am Kamina the coach. I'm out. Peace.